On April 25th, 2025, Devin Dreeshen wrote a letter to one councillor in my city to complain about a bike lane being built on 132nd Avenue, the street where I'm standing right now. The complaint is likely a ploy by my provincial government to distract from a number of scandals going on right now, and, well, I've taken the bait. On this episode of Bike Nudge Nudge, I'm going to talk about 132nd Avenue in my city. I'll show the history of the project, the controversy surrounding the project, and what is being built along this street. 132nd Ave is a collector road in the north part of my city. It runs for 7¼ kilometers from Fort Road in the east to 127th Street in the west. As a collector road, it's just supposed to connect the quiet residential roads to the main arterial roads. It's not supposed to be a major road that handles large volumes of SUVs. If you need to pass east-west through this area, an actual national highway is about 800 meters to the south, and a large strode is about 800 meters to the north. The city decided that 132nd Avenue needed to be renewed, and in September of 2020, it started to engage with the nearby residents on the project. By October of 2022, there was a final design. There is now a plan for 5 years of construction to redo 132nd Ave. In 2023, work was started from 97th Street to 107th Street. 2024 saw more work from 97th Street to 113th A Street. We're now in 2025, and work should be done between 66th Street and 82nd Street. This is the part of the stretch of 132nd Avenue that Minister Dreeshen has a problem with. That brings us to the Minister and his issues with bike lanes. The Minister is concerned about the portion from 66th Street to 97th Street. As Minister of Transportation for a right-wing regressive government, he is only concerned with increasing road capacity for motor vehicles. He is a "one more lane will do it, bro." At the end of his letter, he encourages cancelling or postponing any bike lane that takes away space from SUVs. The beginning of his post on Shitter talks about only using tax dollars to build and expand infrastructure, because bike lanes are not an infrastructure and they magically appear in cities for free. He also says we need to find better ways to manage growth, and those better ways are to continue building the same roads we've been building for the past 80 years. I try to be respectful on this channel, so I won't use ad hominem attacks. The fact that Minister Dreeshen campaigned for Donald Trump or had to step down from a previous cabinet post due to drinking on the job and abusing staff isn't what makes his argument against bike lanes bad. I only quickly watched his video on Shitter because I was tipped off that he stole footage from one of my videos. A friend said the video was just the usual 1980s anti-bike arguments. I'm not going to suggest anyone go to Shitter, so just subscribe to my channel, or one of the many good urbanist YouTube channels, so you can have the knowledge to tell Dreeshen why he's wrong, if you ever have the misfortune of meeting him in public. I also have no proof that my provincial government is just borrowing from Doug Ford and the Ontario Conservative government and using a bike lane to distract from a major healthcare scandal that should be getting a lot more attention and a public inquiry. But that's enough history about this little collector road. For the rest of this video, I'm going to ride the entire length of the road. I'll stop to remark about the old configuration of the road and to show off some of the new stuff. From what I hear, there's some really good bike infrastructure going on. So here we have a service road. There was one just behind us that disappeared, and now this one appears. I don't like service roads as bike infrastructure because, as you can see, this one just appeared out of nowhere. And then we always have the stop signs, and this person goes through. Not sure, should I obey the stop sign or obey the red light? Let's obey the red light. And here you can see this is why I don't like service roads, because it is just stopped for no reason. So now I have to get back on the main street. I'm just taking a quick pause from biking. You can see behind my shoulder there's a Catholic school, and over on my left side there is a high school. So I think 132nd Avenue 10 or 15 years ago, there were debates about putting bike lanes on here. There are 6 schools from what I know. Some of them are kindergarten to grade 9 or kindergarten to grade 6. There's the high school that I just mentioned. And the parents didn't want any kind of bike infrastructure put in here because somehow this road is safer for children. Although some of the arguments were this road is too unsafe for bike infrastructure, so we don't want to make the road safer by putting bike infrastructure or giving the road a road diet. So we can't have safe roads because the roads are unsafe. All right, let's move on. So this is what's being replaced. A 4-lane strode. It is a collector road. You see on Saturday afternoon it's not that busy. It's very bumpy, so I can see why they want it fixed. But that's what happens when you have a city like mine with 1 million people and 10,000 kilometers. Hey! Well, pardon the interruption. I always like to say that nice bike infrastructure, nice public places, nice third spaces always bring people together. You get these random meetings, which are nice to see friends and have a chat. Well, it looks like the road is closed here for more construction, so we're going to have to take a little detour. So it looks like not everyone is happy in the area for having bike lanes. Apparently they like 4 lanes. The bus stops are not going away. The service roads are going away, but there's still parking. There's still room for school drop-off, pickup. But service roads are not great for bikes. The bike lanes that are coming in are for bikes, also other people wheeling. So in mobility scooters, shared electric scooters, that sort of thing. There doesn't have to be as much school drop-off and pickup if children can have some independence and be able to bike to school themselves. I'll have to see later if this project is costing $95 million. The whole road is being resurfaced, which includes the car lanes. They are planting trees, they are planting grass, there is parking, there is a bus, and this is a municipal decision, so it's the municipal government that has chosen to do this. It is the provincial government that is now sticking its nose in and wants to stop it. And it's not Blake Desharnais who's done this because he is a federal NDP candidate. And the NDP has so few seats federally that they are not actually going and telling Edmonton which cities have to have bike lanes along them. So not a lot of truth to this sign, in my opinion. Well, I've just entered the new bike infrastructure, and to quote Brad Pitt from Bullet Train, this is nice. It needs to be swept, but it is only end of April, so sweeping hasn't occurred yet. So I've come to the first interesting aspect about this bike lane, and that is at all the intersections, it seems that they've put in, or many of the intersections, they've put in a curb bump out to shorten the crossing distance. And also there's a little island refuge for pedestrians or cyclists to wait so that they're not blocking the bike lane or the sidewalk as they're going across. You can see a little bit the dirt over there. They've actually put in parking along the side of the road, and then the bump out just ends the parking. We're coming up to something else that I'm really liking about this bike lane. It's the raised sidewalks. We're crossing a street. This person has a yield and I don't. And they're still going to park in the sidewalk. But the raised crosswalk shows that they should have yielded to me, that I have priority, and that driver should have stopped a lot earlier. Oh well, I guess it takes time to learn. Another thing interesting about this bike path, I looked at the schematics. You can see by these markings, it's two-way right here. It looks to be about 3 meters wide, which is the minimum standard. But for most of the bike lane, it's supposed to be just one direction, which you can see from this marking right here. But it really looks like they've kept the width of the lane. It looks to be still about 3 meters wide, which would be really nice for passing, for riding with someone. This is nice. And after a lot of detouring, here we are back on 132nd Avenue. Stabilization on the camera might not show the bump up and bump down for this level sidewalk, extended sidewalk. But here we are back on the bike lane. It seems to have changed here. It is now narrower than where we were before. This looks to be maybe probably 2 meters, I'd say, not 1.5 meters. 1.5 meters being the bare minimum, so it's nice they did the 2 meters. And they still have the 2 different treatments. So the bike lane has the black asphalt, and then the sidewalk is the white concrete. And you can see there's lots of parking, though the parking does end at each intersection where there's a bump out for crossing. And once again, continuous sidewalk, very nice. And the need to sweep the bike lane, but since it's still under construction, I can see why they haven't done it yet. So I don't mind people biking, wheeling, scooting, but sometimes you have to watch out for the Canada geese. Looks like he's moving over to the sidewalk where pedestrians should be. Okay, I mentioned they did keep bus service down this road, and here you can see they've put the waiting area between the bike path and the road, so there's no big mass of people coming on and off through the bike lane. People loading will go through the bike lane slowly. It's just when people come off, you'll get a mass of people coming through the bike lane. But I like that way. This is a nice little feature. Not only is the sidewalk continuous, but they've actually raised the entire intersection. You can see the road is very straight and long, and there's no brakes, so people can go quite fast. And raising the intersections once in a while can actually help to slow down the SUVs. So that's a good thing. Here's another aspect of this busy road. This is almost a protected intersection. That little island causes drivers to have to go around, and they're further into their corner, so they tend to see people walking and biking more than if the turn happens a lot closer to the intersection. And we are coming up on the end of our tour, at least the 132nd Ave part, because this is Fort Road coming up. The bike lane ends. There are some nice crosswalks. Just bumps into a sidewalk. Watch out for pedestrians crossing. And you're now at Fort Road. So I've traveled there and back again along parts of the new bike lane, but along as much of the road that's being redone as I could. Some was blocked due to construction, and I have a few thoughts. Let's start with the cons. The biggest con I found is connectivity. I came in from the southwest, and I had a nice bike lane, then a service road, then construction, then a dismount and walk sign, which is one of my city's favorite signs. To the east, it's not much better. You go to Fort Road, and there are some things to do on Fort Road, but it doesn't look like there's any bike infrastructure to get you there once you've come to the end of the bike lane. But I'll balance that con with a pro. There's lots to do on the bike lane. There's shops, I think there's 6 schools, churches, there's a recreation center, lots of residential housing in the area. Even this bike lane isn't connected to something else. It could get good use just from people in the area trying to get kids to school or to get to recreation centers. And that's actually a huge thing, is allowing children to have their own mobility. You can see on this 4-lane road, you probably wouldn't want younger children biking all alone. Another pro is this road is being put on a diet, which I think it really needs. People I know have been saying that about 7,000 vehicles per day travel this road. You can see behind me, it's kind of quiet. This is just a regular Saturday afternoon, so maybe school pickup and drop off is a bit busier. Maybe when church is in, it might be a bit busier, but you don't need 4 lanes for 7,000 vehicles a day. You only go up to 4 lanes when you're at least 12 or 15,000 vehicles a day, and maybe even you can get by with 2 lanes up to 25,000 vehicles a day. The biggest pros are the bike lanes themselves. They are really well done. In many places, they're way above the standard 1.5 meters for one direction of bike lane. Near the park here behind me, there's some small sections of two-way traffic where it goes up to the standard 3 meters. The bike lanes are separated from pedestrians. It's black asphalt for the bikers, and it is white concrete for pedestrians. Another nice thing about the bike lane is the raised crosswalks. It shows that people biking or scooting or on wheelchairs or the pedestrians, they have the right of way. It's drivers in SUVs who are crossing the bike lane, not the other way around. And I'd have to say the absolute biggest con of this entire project is that the city is doing it. It is showing that the city is capable of building really nice infrastructure. This is part of a collector renewal program. It is not part of the $100 million to accelerate the network expansion. But that $100 million, in my opinion, is likely going to feel misspent when you see that the city can build stuff like this, but for the $100 million, all we're getting is wide sidewalks, and it really looks like we're just going to get some signs on residential streets saying that people biking can be there. Now, this is a really expensive project. If you believe the sign back there, and I'll have a little caption showing how much this project is actually costing, then $100 million might be spent on just 7.25 kilometers of bike lane. But when you look at the city's entire transportation budget, it's not all that much. The city has 10,000 kilometers of roads. They are not in good shape. It takes a lot of time and effort to keep them going. And the city spends each year about $10 million just filling potholes. So I really like this bike lane. I wish it was closer to where I live. Once the little sapling trees that they've planted start to bloom, you'll get some nice shade along the bike lane, and hopefully you'll get a lot of people using it. I think it's really nice, so thanks for watching.